And we are live. Hello, world. Welcome to the Pernicious Chronicles Season 1 recap of the Destiny campaign. Sorry we're running a little late. I think we're all a little late today. With that being said, let me get my guys in here. Alright, so far, joining us, we have Graham and Holy Mackerel. I put you under the wrong one, Randy. I apologize for that. You're currently Reid.
Ew.
So, let me fix that. Give me 1 second. I know Kim is working on getting her internet up real quick. So if she drops in, she drops in. We'll give Reid a few more minutes. Otherwise... Sorry, I'm looking at something. Otherwise, we're going to get started on this recap, and hopefully we can breeze right through it. So, while I'm doing this, how's your day going, both of you?
Yeah, it's been good, generally. Just been getting stuff ready for tomorrow and that, but yeah, it's been quite a chilled out one.
Just so you know, your mic is a little quiet.
That any better?
Slightly. But what about you, Mr. Randy?
I don't know, pretty normal day.
Pretty normal day. What's normal?
I do math, and then I come home and I eat and I play Dungeons and Dragons. So I guess that's one good thing that's not normal. Not necessarily every day. Although we're not playing today, but whatever. Still get to geek out.
Still get to, hold on. I'm sorry, I'm trying to change your name. There we go. Let's move Randy as Rogar. How did we spell it last time? I don't know.
R-H-O.
Gar. Got it. Good there. Move that. This one will be Reid as himself.
Jess coming tonight?
No, Jess will not be here tonight. She had guests over at her house, so I gave her a free pass. What were you saying, Graham?
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, I've worked out what was happening. I was trying to use the microphone in the webcam instead of the microphone in my headset, which is really not helpful.
Glad you fixed it.
Oh, son of a... I changed her name, and then I turned around and changed it right back. Dude, I apologize for the delayed start, guys.
Don't worry. I'm gonna go put this ice cream back.
Today's been a fun day.
One of those.
Oh, definitely one of those. Reid as Balefire. Okay. Got it sorted. Is it changing? Update. There we go. Outstanding. Alright. Now I feel like I accomplished something. What did you accomplish? I changed the names. And let me get here. And we are howdy. Sassy Moon Fox. We all know who that is. That's the evil Glinda.
Hey,
let me get my notes out real quick. Wait, who are we saying hey to?
Reid.
He didn't get my message, did he?
Do you just say that to everyone?
What?
You didn't get my message?
Oh no, I put it right there in chat for everyone.
Which chat?
the Destiny chat and Discord, because we have a Discord. All right, let me get him in here, and then we'll get rolling.
The 6:30 thing?
Yeah, no, I was just messing with him.
Ah.
What's to say? I just came from class.
How's that make you feel?
Well, I'm out of class now, so.
So awful, right?
I swear. Wait, what is in your ear?
It's wireless.
Okay, because for a second I thought you had like a gauge, and I was like, dude, I just lost all respect for you.
You just want to say what?
I lost all respect for you.
No, it's wireless Bluetooth.
I know. I'm just messing with you. I have no ill will to anyone who wears gauges. Just read.
You only have ill will against everything I do, so I guess that's understandable.
Well, I worry because you're a pilot, or you're planning to be a pirate. A pirate, yes, a pirate. See, you have the pirate flag behind you.
Well, I stole it from one of the other dorms.
See, stealing. Piracy.
Basically a pirate. You became a pirate when you stole a pirate flag.
Every dorm has their own theme. Like my dorm is the lion, where I have my floor more specifically. Each one has their own flag, and so it's kind of like a campus-wide competition to try and get the flag.
Fair enough. All right. So here's my plan tonight. We are doing the entire season 1 recap. We did Antecedents last night, and it took us roughly 2 hours to go through 9 episodes, and the Destiny campaign is twice as long. So with that being said, this is what I want to do. I want to run through all the episodes, hitting a few key notes, especially some of the things with the characters, if you have questions. But if there are questions that we can go back and answer at the end of it, I want to wait until the end. So if you have them, just jot them down real quick, and then we'll go from there. Because there's going to be a lot of loopholes, especially in the Destiny campaign. There were a few in the Antecedents, but the Destiny campaign is just... it's a lot larger. So bear with me on this, if that's cool with you guys. And there's not really much to say on episode 1, because we had the video, but sort of lost the video. There's a lot of issues, technical issues with the episode 1. But basically, episode 1 is when... Let me back up. This is going to get a lot really tricky because we are missing some characters. We had some players that dropped out. So the original campaign started off with... Let me pull this up.
Wait, I want to see if I can do this. We had Ethrin, we had Balefire, we had Tilly, we had Carsey, we had Harkin. We had Harkin. And then I don't remember the girl's name. What her character's name was.
Fable.
So
the original character, the original cast, was Balefire, Carsey, Ethrin, Tilly, Harkin, and Fable. So we started out with you guys all knowing this person named Violet, who was part of the Great Library, a historian that came around to you guys. And it was kind of like a mentor throughout your childhood and your upbringing. Fast forward a little bit, you lost touch with Violet, and everybody kind of knew where Violet lived, where Violet resided, so they decided to go look for her. Fast forward to the beginning of episode 1. You walk into what you know to be Violet's cabin, essentially, in the edge of the verdant meadows. So you go in, and it's this pristine-looking place. Now, the Destiny campaign takes place 57 years after the Dragon Onslaught, so it was basically like an apocalypse, and the world is in ruins. Nothing really that you guys ever had was nice. with the exception of maybe Ethrin having a little bit of niceness in his life because he was part of a monastery. So basically, when you go in there, everything is pristine, and you find Violet's body laying in the first room that you walk to. Now, keep in mind, it's only yourself. You had already, when you first came on, you had already read the prologue to this whole thing that talks about the dragon onslaught and everything. And if you haven't read it, you can find it on the website because it's very lengthy. So anyway, so you read it and it tells you about all of these things. And then you find Violet's body, and then there's another letter in that. And then it goes on to tell you that basically what you know is a lie. And it blames the Lyceum for the dragon onslaught. Whereas when you were growing up, the Lyceum supposedly stopped the dragon onslaught. You with me so far?
Yep.
All right. So you read this letter, and I have to remember here for a second because it wasn't. I have to remember the sequence here. The second letter. Damn it. This is why I have notes. Okay, so the second letter that you pull up is actually in the clutches of a man, an older human male. And the letter presents itself to be written by a man named Michael Versick, if you're in the Antecedents campaign. And he tells you that that everything about Violet was a ruse, that because he was hiding from the Lyceum, that he had stolen something from them during the dragon onslaught called the Rod of Dragon Control, and this is how they were controlling all the dragons. And Randy, I apologize, but I'm muting you because I can hear your mouse clicking. No, you're good. It's just click, click, click. So you go through this letter, and it tells you everything, and everybody's kind of confused at this point because you had known this person to be Violet, and it was in reality this man named Michael. And then the illusion of this cabin kind of washes away, and that's where you see these other figures standing around you, and that ends up being Belflower, Carsey, Ethrin, Tilly, Fable, and Harkin, which is the original party for Destiny. So at that point, everybody's kind of uneasy. They're trying to figure out what's going on when they are suddenly attacked by these orange goblins, these orangish skinned goblins. They fight them off, and they kind of raid Violet's home and then set it on fire. And I'm gonna unmute Randy. So you guys kind of like set it on fire. But you managed to take Michael's body out, bring it with you back to your campsite, and you actually dig a grave and bury Michael. And then that's kind of like the sum of episode 1. Does that make sense to you, to actually Reid and Randy? Does that kind of sum everything up?
Don't forget Bomblin the Hobgoblin.
What?
One of the goblins that went like suicidal in the fight.
I don't remember this.
I don't either. Were you in the same fight?
Yeah, it was a joke that Tilly and I created. But...
Oh, well, anything Tilly said, I just forgot.
I don't think you forgot anything. I think you got it.
So episode 2. Now, this is the part where things kind of got a little tricky. The reason I say that is because by this time we already had one of the players drop off, and that was Fable. So you guys wake up in a smoke-filled forest because you had set the cabin on fire. Oh, see, I missed a major point. At the end of the note that Michael had told you guys, he said that one of you had the key. He just couldn't say who in case the Lyceum had figured out, like the ruse and everything and found the letter. So it was kind of a trick, and then you guys had to figure out who had it. In the end, actually, it was Harkin. The key was a clue. And the clue was what was going to lead you to the next clue to find the Rod of Dragon Control. And basically the clues pointed to Howling Wolf Peak and Lilothrex's lair. Do you remember that part? Yes. Because from this part, at the end of episode 1, you guys had decided to go north to the Zetas Monastery, which was I almost said Rogar, which was Etherin's home. And you were hoping that your, I think it was, who was your master, could shed some light on this.
What was his name?
Kyron?
No, Kieran was the monk that almost killed you.
Oh, you're right, yeah.
Let's look. His name was Robert Paulson.
Yes. Nah.
No.
Fight Club?
Oh, you changed it. I have it written down somewhere.
It was it started with a J.
Oh, actually, you know what? Hold that thought. It was Jastel.
Yes, it did start with a J.
He was a male dwarf, a monk. Some reason I find that funny. So anyway.
In the ways as our dwarves.
What's that?
I said monks are pretty stubborn, and so are dwarves.
Fair enough. But I do want to say that the two letters, the prologue and the Michael's letter, are both on the main page of the website. So that's like the first thing you see, to give you a better understanding of how this started. So then from there, you guys wake up in a smoke-filled forest, manage to stumble away through it without triggering any encounters, which was pretty impressive.
Wait, I thought we had one encounter.
Not in the forest, no. Nope. You guys skipped through it.
Oh, yeah, they found us, but we just ran away.
Yeah, you guys managed to skirt through. So from there, you guys traveled north, and then you came across another clearing that turned out to be a small farm. From a distance, you could see that there was more of these orange-skinned goblins, which you had determined to be Saralt goblins, which is a kingdom to the north in the flatlands. And kind of like observing, you see that there's a wagon out front that has bars around it, and then you can see that there's two figures inside of it. And you guys decide to sneak up and attack. You slayed the goblins and their warg, and freed the two captives. And that's when you find out that one of them is the farmer's wife, and then the other one is a human named Mina. And that's when Mina joins the campaign. I'm just sliding her in.
And the farmer's wife steals the horse and leaves.
Yeah, well, you turned your back on her. I can't help that. So then you guys get through that, and then you decide to keep heading north when you come across kind of like this eerie singing sound. And of course, Bellfire, being Bellfire, wants to investigate and runs off by himself. Tilly came later.
Oh, that's true.
So you actually, as you're investigating, the singing stops. You see some footprints run beside you, clearly, but you don't see anything else. So you kind of follow them, and then that's when you find this cave underneath this large tree. Like, when I say large, I mean it's like ancient oak tree that's just massive. So you follow it in, and you actually start to go inside the cave, and you rethink it, and you call Tilly back. So Tilly comes with you. You guys go inside, and it ends up being a trap. You get attacked by a hag, and she puts you in a web. She lights it on. I think she lit it on fire. No, somebody else lit it on fire. Tilly, was it you?
I lit it on fire.
So there was tactics that used in the Antecedents campaign that the Destiny campaign did before.
On themselves.
Yes, on themselves. This is exactly what happened. So you light it on fire. There's a fight. The rest of the party catches up, and then Ethrin finishes her off. I think he was blind at the time, wasn't he?
He was blind. He moved past him. He had disadvantage. He's whacked over the head with a stick.
Yeah, I think he rolled like a nat 20 or something.
No, it was like an 18 and a 19. It was like at disadvantage, and it was apparently just enough damage to kill her or something.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, and I was gonna have her run away.
Right.
To come back and fight another day. Kim just said she's not gonna be here tonight.
Uh-huh.
Her internet's down, so it happens. So anyway, you guys fight and kill the hag, and then you hear this knocking sound, and it's coming from a trunk inside of like wherever she's been living. There's like some like makeshift beds made out of vines and hay and stuff like that. So you open up this trunk, and this little sprite pops out. And he says his name is Roland, that he lived in the tree, and she took him hostage so she could lure creatures in so she could eat them. And that's when you guys started to search around. And I can't remember why you even started searching, but you managed to find a secret door.
Oh,
we weren't searching that hard. We just is there anything else in here? And then I think I rolled well on a perception check, like really well, and then Carsey rolled really well on an investigation check. And then something else happened.
I guess the DM wanted you to find it. I don't know. It's quite possible. I don't remember. Of course you don't remember. So anyway, you open up this door. It had this like little kind of weird puzzle on it. No, that one didn't have a puzzle. That had a symbol on it. So you open it up, and it leads down a flight of stairs. But that's where we ended episode 2. Make sense? Outstanding. All right. Episode 3 has absolutely nothing to do with the main story. But it is groundbreaking, or ground shaking, rather. So you guys go down, and you come to this door, which is locked by a puzzle, and you figured that one out. Because, remember, that was the one with the mirror and the symbols and all that kind of stuff. So you figured that one out, and the door opens up, and you start going down these corridors. After a couple of rooms and some animated statues later, you come into this large chamber with these 3 huge statues. One is of a dwarvish-looking figure that has the name written on the bottom of it that says Kravos. I believe it was Kravos the Shield? No, the Aegis, wasn't it? Yes, Kravos the Aegis. And then the one in the middle was of this human woman, wavy hair, with a... I think she had a robe. Definitely wasn't naked, though. And then underneath hers, it said Melina the Oracle. And then there's a one off to the south of you of this twisted looking figure with pulled back skin over a skeletal frame with like matted mangy hair with an engraving on the bottom that said Vadoma the Strife. And at the time, you guys had no idea what these were. But as you started to go through this place, you started to find out things about the something called the Titankin War, and the deities of the world. And then you came across these gems in all these rooms, and then you figured out that that these gems, when put into the correct statue, would do something, but at the moment you didn't know. And it opened up another door into a larger chamber. So you guys open up this door and you head on back. And in this room, there is this orb that's kind of like. Refresh my memory. Was it hovering, or did I have it on a pedestal?
Hovering.
Okay, good. But it was surrounded by kind of like a channel of acid. And you guys were talking it over. It's kind of funny. But you managed to use a rope to kind of like slide over. And then I believe it was Carsey that touched it. And that was the key. And when he did that, this kind of flowing figure emerged out of it and started to absorb your life force. And then one by one, you guys kind of essentially died. And that's where episode 3 ended. And you still kind of really didn't have an idea of what was going on. Still with me?
Yes.
All right. Episode 4 starts off with you guys in the plane of souls. You awaken, and you don't really know where you're at, but you know you're not on Recroya because you can actually see the world in a distance. And you're confronted by a being that later identifies herself as Melina. And she explains to you what happened. That during the Titankin War, her and her siblings basically trapped Titan, but also had to go dormant themselves, thus taking the deities away from Recroya. So by you touching it, you basically released Titan, and they couldn't stop you because they had regained their full strength. So they were currently going to basically rebuild their strength and send you back into the world to call you back later to do whatever it is that needs to be done if Titan were to regain his power and try to come after the world again. Which is, we'll touch on the Titankin War in a minute. Oh. Sorry. Yes, the undead thing. So you guys were sent back, and when you're sent back to the cave where that tree was. And you find the lifeless body of Harkin. Tilly takes all of his stuff, which is important for later on. And I think we still only had 5 players at that time, right? Am I missing anybody?
No, it was.
No, we didn't get anybody new until Jess.
Okay, so at that point, yeah, okay. Oh, okay. I'm with you. I'm getting my players mixed up because at that point, Aaron was playing Tilly, and then he switched and Jess came in, so it kind of like flowed. Okay. But you are correct. That is Harkin, not Arkin, which is very strange. I want to add that we would have a character's name similar. But anyway. Stuff. Trying to remember what else
Is
happened.
Harkin on there?
I'm sorry?
Is Harkin's character token on the map right now?
No.
I was about to say.
No,
I only
it's not.
see the Ethrin, Tilly, you know.
I didn't put Fable up there either. The roles were so minor, it didn't matter.
Gotcha.
So episode 4 continues on with you guys talking to Roland, and then you find out that there is another moon in the night sky, which starts to make sense later when you find out that during the Titankin War, the second moon, the larger moon, disappeared when Titan disappeared, or the deities disappeared, one or the other. And then from that point, you guys start heading up north to the Zetas Monastery. And I'm missing something.
Kieran.
Now, did we get through the whole monastery in episode 4? Had to have. We had to have. Okay. So you guys made it to the Zetas Monastery. And you come across it and you find it ransacked. Etherin freaks out, starts going through everything, looking for Jastel. The whole party starts going through all the rooms, couldn't find him. They start ransacking and taking stuff from the library, and that's where some notable books come up into play. So when they start heading back out, that's when you find your path is blocked by a man that Etherin knows to be Kieran. Kieran was Jastel's student prior to Etherin, and he went down a different road, to say the least. He actually went to work for the Lyceum because he had Lyceum members with him. And he had Jastel within inches of his life. Threw him off this little platform that he was on, and then a fight ensued. I believe that was the episode that Mina lit Tilly on fire. Tilly, man, that's when his string of bad luck started.
No, it was already happening. Like the first episode, he didn't hit anything, and he got like knocked out. I don't think he ever hit. I don't think he ever hit anybody with his cannon.
Once.
Once.
Yeah. I think I saw him hit someone with a cannon once, and I think I saw it blow up and hurt him 4 times.
That was He hit something one time, and that wasn't until later on in the. No, that was the mini cannon. Actually, he never hit anything with the main cannon. It was the second cannon he got hit on. Yeah,
you're right. I think you're right. Losing the big cannon was the best thing that could happen to him. So fight ensued. I remember him. I really do remember him running, and he rolls a 1 and like falls face first on a flight of stairs.
That was Carsey. No, Tilly did that too, right?
Carsey ran into the column.
Yeah, and dropped his sword.
Yeah. And then he ran into a room, and then Mina lit it on fire. And he failed his save to get out of that, so that lit him on fire. But anyway, you guys fight, and Kieran starts beating the crap out of you guys, and that's putting it mildly. He basically doesn't turn away and run. He basically leaves you for all dead, and turns and leaves, and Balefire runs after him. And you hear Balefire scream, and then that's where we end the episode, for episode 4. And then we pick up with episode 5. Everybody's wondering what happened to Balefire. Kieran did a number on Balefire and almost killed him, and then he was saved by some dryads in the woods. So he comes back. You guys pick yourselves up and heal yourselves, and then start to head off to Howling Wolf Peak. You had actually found a map, I believe, at that point. And it actually, when you guys were in the library, you also... Oh, no. When Balefire was healing is when Etherin and I believe Mina discovered that Balefire's... Is it your ring? It was your ring that opened up one of the books that you had found. Was it the necklace?
Necklace.
Okay. Yeah.
I couldn't remember. You had a ring and a necklace. I couldn't remember which one it was.
Yeah, it was a necklace.
So that's when you guys realized that there was something more going on, because Bellfire's necklace had opened up a book that you found in Justel's library. And that's when you found the map that would lead you to Howling Wolf Peak. And it also had detailed some things about the Titankin War, and a race called the Valinari, if you remember that. So you guys gathered some supplies and then headed out on the road. You come across the baby owlbear, to which everybody ran from. I was really sad about that. Baby owlbears are cute.
We didn't run from the baby.
I think you ran from the baby owlbear.
Didn't you say that the dad got like a nat 1 on the perception check?
I don't think it was a nat 1. I think it was a very low roll. I was looking to see if I had a picture of the baby owlbear, but I don't. I was going to put it up on the screen. Oh well. So anyway, so you guys proceeded on to Howling Wolf Peak. And you get in there and you find out that this is basically like this big open cave. And then you found some dead bodies around it. Apparently people had failed some saves. And then you find there's like a little pool of water at the north end of it, and then there's a huge crack with a little land bridge going over it that you guys had to get to the other side, because that's when you saw the huge mound of treasure and some kind of rock formation.
Tilly lost his cannon.
I'm sorry?
And that's when Tilly lost his cannon.
Well, that's when you guys started going across. It was kind of dramatic, actually. It's kind of interesting. And I love those kind of things, throwing them out there to throw in drama that's not combat. Because this huge green dragon snake came up behind you guys. And Bellfire used one of his abilities to basically calm it, and it turned away and decided not to attack. But the land breach did its number because Tilly failed one of his saves, slipped, and he had a choice that he could drop Crooks or drop his cannon. And he decided to drop his cannon and save Crooks, which was his mechanical cat. And then you guys made it across. And at that point, you get over there and you start rummaging through everything, and you discover that there's this message written on, or like carved into one of the stones, and you remember that one of the books that you had found had a cipher in it. The cipher, you guys actually physically had the cipher, like as a player you had the cipher and you had the message, and you literally deciphered it and spelled everything out, which took you guys about 15-20 minutes, give or take.
The cipher?
Yeah. Tilly,
What's that?
your voice keeps cutting out.
Yeah, Bellfire, your voice is cutting in and out.
Can you hear me now?
Good. It never gets old. All right. So what were you saying?
I think that we solved the code between sections.
No. Aaron and I got it finished that night.
Okay.
Correct. They did, and it told you. It told you about the Isle of Serpents and the Temple of Kaivolt, which was your next clue to finding the Rod of Dragon Control. So at that point, Carsey spoke up because you knew you were going to have to find a ship, and said, "Hey, let's go to Leverus," which was the port town, the only port town in southern Ebelon. So that was the plan. So you guys finished out that. Actually, that's where episode 5 ended and episode 6 picked up. You guys decided, instead of just leaving the cave, that you wanted to explore a little bit more. And Ethrin almost paid the price, because he got hit with 2 crits back to back. and almost, I think they did drop you, didn't they?
Oh yeah, I was dropped. It was almost an instant kill.
And then
I think.
then Bellfire saved you with a heal, which is I think like one of the rare times he healed any party member.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. So at that point, you guys killed these little baby snakes and then managed to get out, all the while keeping an eye on your back because you knew the mama was around somewhere. But she never came out. So you guys leave and start heading south because everybody wanted to go to Prin, which you knew was this kind of like monstrous type village town area. So that's where everybody was going. And you get there and you come across a dwarf and a gnoll that are fixing a wagon wheel. Tilly, being Tilly, wants to go talk to this person, and he tries to sneak up on him best he can, and fails horribly, and he has to introduce himself to a man that calls himself Grimshaw. Grimmer. So he talks to Tilly for a little while and convinces him to give you guys a ride back to Leverus instead of going to Prin. So everybody's kind of like, okay, let's do it. You get into this wagon and you get to Leverus in what I think it was 3-4 days, something like that. I think something like that. It was like 3 or 4 days. So he tells you that his name is Grimshaw and that he owns at this point a chain of taverns. He's got one in Prin, he's got one in Leverus, and he's trying to expand his tavern empire. And
we should have gotten him a tavern in Cobalt Village.
Hey, he's still alive. You never know.
True.
I mean, dwarves live for a long time. Maybe the Destiny campaign can go back and be like, hey, there's this aspiring village full of kobolds.
They've got this booze fruit.
That's true. Maybe he can turn it into something.
Grimshaw's Exports Limited.
Actually, I do want to point out something. Grimshaw didn't make the Silver Slugger, by the way. Grimshaw, it just owns these taverns. It was Brickaxe that made the Silver Slugger. It was brought up. So anyway, you guys get to Leverus and you start. I think everybody gets day jobs or summer jobs, as it were. Mina becomes a waitress at the bar. Tilly becomes a blacksmith. Carsey at this time became a town guard. Ethrin. What did Ethrin do at this time?
I don't remember. I don't think I was doing much.
And then Bellfire was...
Maybe I was reading.
What did Bellfire do? What was your summer job there?
Oh, he fished. Remember the girl?
Okay. Fair enough.
He fished and he like brought back his like kept the fish. He was like, he just bought some for me. I had to take care of myself.
Oh, that girl. Yes, the little 12-year-old that was snobby.
Take care of yourself. So good job.
Oh man, that's where I really got to start playing with the NPCs. That was fun.
That was fun.
Grimmer. I love Grimshaw. That was one of my favorite. He'll be back. He's not going anywhere. And whoever plays him in the Antecedents campaign has to do the voice. Good luck. So anyway, so you guys start going around and you find out that there is a ship in port, but the captain has been arrested for the murder of a local. And I want to say, nope. Wait, yes, that's kind of where we left off on episode 6. Because at episode 7, you guys start to investigate this murder. the half orc named Utor, because you wanted to release Issa Underlake, who was the captain. And you start going around the town asking questions, and before you could get further into it, something happens. Essentially, this storm rolls up on the town, and I'd said something about some rumors and stuff. You're breaking up again. It's killing me. Killing me. What are you saying?
There was a certain somebody in bed with another certain somebody when the storm hit.
Well, that was something completely different. if you want to know that backstory, go watch episode 7. There's a lot more that goes on than what I'm just telling you guys. I'm hitting the key points. But there's a lot of other shenanigans that goes down. It's pretty funny. So basically about halfway through the investigation, this powerful storm rolls up and begins to throw around lightning bolts throughout the town. People panic, the party splits, and when the party is actually already split, I apologize. And when they're trying to go meet up at the tavern, a lightning bolt comes down, and riding on this lightning bolt is an air genocide. So there was hesitation, but the air genocide attacked. And what you know about them is that they were kind of like raiders, like Viking raiders type thing. So they would come and decimate an area, take all of its resources, and then leave. And you'll find out why in episode 8. Because the fight ensued. I don't think at this point. No, I didn't. At this point, the big reveal hadn't happened. There was air genocide. This is when Tilly rolled a 1, blew himself back into a wall, and then picked himself up and ran off to go try and shoot another one that was above him, and he was running out by the docks and rolled another 1, and then flew into the water. And that's where we ended that episode. He was currently unconscious. So we ended that episode there. Episode 8 comes up with you guys in the middle of a battle, and then your attention is pulled towards the sky as something began to emerge from the clouds. And what it turned out to be was a flying citadel at the helm of a storm giant. He basically called reinforcements, had other air genocide start flying down towards you guys. At that point, I know Ethrin saw Tilly fly into the water and decided to go jump in after him. And I think Bellfire was running up there as well.
Yeah, he threw a rope out to Ethrin so he could pull Ethrin and Billy back in.
And then I remember, I think it was Bellfire that looked up, and the air genocide were flying, like basically kind of like launching themselves down towards the ground, when out of nowhere this owl Aarakocra appears and takes that one out that was just about to hit Bellfire, and that enters Kree into the mix. Am I correct?
Correct.
So let's move Kree. Oh, Kree's not over here. And then we have Kree. All right. These guys over a little bit. Nice, having a great conversation.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you guys continue to fight the air genocide. You see that Issa Underlake is actually escaping with the help of her crew during all the mayhem, and decide to pursue them. They hop in a set of rowboat, actually one rowboat, head out towards their ship that's in the harbor, and you guys head into another one while the rest of the town guard... Back up 1 second. one key thing to note is that the Lyceum actually came through and started hurling fireballs. They came through portals, started hurling fireballs at these falling air genocide, and started fighting them along with you guys and the town guard, because they perceived them as a threat, and which is why they were sent. And then you guys hop into the rowboats and head out to the. Nope, forgot one other thing.
Well, if you say, so right after they show up, before we get in the rowboat, Karen shows up and starts talking to Carson.
You are correct. That's exactly what I was about to say. Kieran does show up. Was it Harkin or was it Ethrin? No, not sorry, Carsey.
It was Ephraim.
Okay,
Well, I think Mina actually ran into him first, but she just bolted the other way.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So at that point, he confronted Ethrin and said that he was actually on his side. And he decided not to attack him, I believe.
Yep. There was a couple inside checks.
Yep. So he decided that, and then that's when you guys got on the rowboats and headed back. And then you got to the ships. You started talking to the crew about what was going on, and then Kieran comes over the side. And that's when everybody kind of gets uneasy, and he convinces you to attack the Lyceum because now they were weakened because they had just sent a lot of members, and a lot of them had died fighting these air genocide. So at this point, you guys decided that it was the best course of action to go attack the Lyceum at the tower. And you convinced the captain to take you there. So that's where episode 8 ended. Episode 9 picks up with, I think, was that the first time I got to use a nat 20? I think it was. But the ship, I don't know if the ship ran into it or it ran into the ship. But ship versus dragon turtle doesn't mix so well. So you slam into this creature, and it basically breaks the ship apart, and you guys become shipwrecked, and you black out. You find yourself washed up onto a beach when you awaken. That's when Carsey and Mina got drug off. And missed the part.
Yeah, this is so they found the
while you were on the ship, yeah, you went through and you talked to one of the prisoners, and he introduced himself as Arkin. However, he looked human or something. You found out that he had the ability to disguise himself and make himself look different. So that kind of introduced Arkin. So when you wash up onto the beach, Carsey's getting drug away with Mina, and you guys want to go find them, and you meet up with Arkin, who offers his assistance. And I think that's the second time he changes in front of you. So you guys start tracking these creatures that you realize are troglodytes. Track them back to their camp and watch from a distance as Carsey is tortured. And then you start getting in positions, and I believe it was Balefire that gave you guys away. Was it Balefire?
somebody did something like somebody purposely set off an explosion of some sort.
It was either Tilly or Arkin, I thought.
Anyway, a fight ensued, and there was 3 people missing that night. The only people there was Carsey, Arkin, Balefire, and Rogar, right? And Tilly. Okay, so it was 4.
Captured.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's when Kree and Mina were both out. Okay, gotcha. Kree went to go check on her family. That's what it was. So anyway, fight breaks out, and you guys defeat most of the troglodytes. And then you release. Nope, I missed one important part. Rushing into this battle, there's a huge troglodyte too, and then you find out there's a priestess. Rushing into this battle is Ethrin. He goes in, fights heroically, but he gets skewered.
That's a good word.
Skewered is a good word. By this huge troglodyte, and basically he just puts his claws through him, picks him up, and then carries them off with him. As they leave Carsey and Mina. And it was at this point that Ethrin had died. Carsey was missing some digits. I think he was missing a few fingers. Mina, you guys had cut her down too. Carsey decided that he was going to lead the group. He kind of like had a mental breakdown and kind of ran off. And this is actually the same time when Tilly gives questioning his own morality and his own failures, because he had so many issues with these cannons, and he was supposed to be this tinkerer. He actually hands his bag over to Balefire and leaves the group. So at this point it was Balefire, Arkin, Mina. Yeah, and Mina. Because Kree was gone, Carsey had left, and Tilly had left. So...
And Ethrin was dead.
Yes, and Ethrin was dead. So that's where episode 9 ended. Bear with me, guys. We've only got 9 more episodes to go. Alright. So at this point, episode 10 takes off with the group searching for Carsey. They couldn't find him whatsoever. And then they kind of realized where they were. They were along the coastline of Balefire's old home, and they started heading towards the ruins of Dragon's Bluff. Searching for the party because she saw pieces of the shipwreck, Kree enters back in as you guys are kind of wandering across the beach. And I believe Mina was back on this at this time.
Everybody was there, I think.
Everybody was there, and then this this figure emerges from the water. This humanoid-sized figure that approaches the group, and he looks exactly like Ethrin. However, he introduces himself as Rogar. He looks exactly like Ethrin with the exception of his eyes. His eyes look very wild and reptilian. And everybody's kind of confused, but they go with it. Because it's D&D. They're like, why not? Let's do this. So at this point, you guys decide that you want to head off to the Seer's Tower. To which you make it to... actually, Kieran had given you guys a map of the hand-drawn map that was made fun of. You guys always make fun of my maps, man. It's not funny. But he had given you a map, kind of like a layout of the Lyceum Tower, and told you what sort of to expect in a secret way in. So using this, you guys enter the tower and you start going up these levels. And this is actually where the first time I've ever heard anybody use gulping damage. As you guys come across a water elemental in the bottom floor because it had been flooded, and that was when Kree turned into a wolf and started biting a puddle of water.
Drinking,
sorry. Gulping damage. That's like one of the best things ever. So you guys dispose of that, and then you start heading up level by level, and you don't encounter anything really. Kind of squeeze by everything, just because the placements of the stairs are horrible. Engineering problems. Next time,
DMD.
I know, right? those maps were horrible. Nah, I love those maps, but it was like, yo, look, I don't want to go to this floor. I'm just going to go around the door. Next time I'm gonna put walls. Yeah.
Yeah, or just have them just like flip everything.
No, because
So
it wouldn't matter. Because you would come up the stairs.
Yeah. The new ones are easier, Patrick. You can make people walk through the entire floor to get to the next set of stairs.
Good deal. Looking forward to using some of those too. So anyway, so you guys go up these flight of stairs, and you get to the quote-unquote main level, and that's when you see a bunch of slumped over figures. And you guys kind of like back out of the room very slowly, and you don't mess with them because everybody thinks that these are undead things, and everybody fears the undead. Just ask Ken.
Yeah, Ken's got a thing for undead.
Yes, or he just thinks everything that's not human is undead. It's got red skin. It's undead. So anyway, hold that thought. All right. So you start working your way up, and you come across a couple of interesting things that come into play later, like a scrying room with a or a scrying ball with a surrounded by a library. You go all the way up to the top, and that's when you had found out, and now you're come face to face with what you were seeking, which turned out to be a mind flayer. However, this mind flayer was a little different than what you had intended, and he looked like he was rotting, basically. Not human, you are correct. And I believe it was at this point he never said what his name was, if I remember correctly. Dang, I don't have my notes printed out. Hold on, guys. Sorry, that's a lot of
not
talking.
past 9 o'clock yet.
No, but I've been talking a lot.
Ah.
I don't have friends. I don't talk to people. This is new territory for me. So anyway, he tells you that he has a deal for you, and the deal is quite simple. He tells you that he had used the Rod of Dragon Control to control the dragons, and to destroy the world. However, it got stolen, and in an effort to basically save himself, he trapped all of the dragons onto the continent of Kalari with a vortex, and then opened up 2 portals. And I want to say that he told you where the portals were then. Originally, it was said that the portals were to the underworld and the abyss, but in reality, they were to the penumbra. And that the power of the vortex, in keeping it up, had started to absorb his life force, which is why he was rotting away. There's a lot more to this that we'll get to talk about shortly. So his deal is simple. He'll leave this plane of existence if you go in and close the portals. No living creature can enter or exit this vortex without these special coins with these runes on them, and he gives them to you. And you guys agree to do this. So you agree to go work for this guy who'd killed all these people. Correct?
Yeah, you know those jobs that you sometimes regret taking?
This was a great job. So at this point,
New deal.
you guys agree to this, and you start heading out of the tower. The first stop was the scrying room that we had just talked about. And Mina manages to activate it, and she starts looking for ships, I believe, which you guys saw. The Rod of Dragon Control, which was on the Isle of Serpents. And she scryed over the continent of Kalari to where you guys had discovered that there were still dragons remaining, and then there's all these other creatures. And Oh, and then someone started looking for, I believe, Melena. Am I correct?
I was looking for Titan.
Oh, you were looking for Titan. I thought somehow they were looking for Melena as well.
Well, maybe we did a blanket search for any of them.
But I think she was in the room, and then Titan was in the room that you guys were in. And then that's when Rogar was like, "I'm out." Titan is in the room. I'm out. So anyway, you guys leave, head down the tower. Sorry, head sneeze. Head out the tower. You fight this Minotaur on your way out that you had missed originally. He tried to kill everything, and then you believed him. Yes. And is that where we're at?
Will you tell us what those hunched over people in like the chapel area were?
Just skeletons.
Okay. So they were undead.
They actually weren't animated undead.
Oh, okay. Oh, so they were just dead.
Yeah, they were just dead. Like I said, paranoia is one of the DM's best friends.
Yes.
So anyway, so you guys managed to get back to Levers and charter a ship to head to Kaivolt. With pretty much any... am I missing anything? Get back to Levers afterward. Arkan or Arcanus? Oh, that's what it was. Arkan managed to convince the captain by turning into a female elf. Remember that one?
Yep.
Yeah. So that whole thing transpired as well. But anyway, you guys managed to get passage on the ship, heading down to the Temple of Kaivolt, or the Isle of Serpents, pretending to be cartographers. Hop on the ship and head out. And there were no fights along the way. The only thing that happened along the way of note was the discovery on Chat, the island of Chat, that had this like shimmer around it, around the main city. Did anybody remember that? Vaguely. You're free to go and check it out if you'd like. Anyway. So you guys make it to the Isle of Serpents. You disembark the ship, head inland. Mina teleports out into an open swamp area after she finds some mushrooms, which she was very giddy about. And then she was ambushed by a troll. I still have Tilly on here. Hold on. Apologize. That's Tilly. That's Carsey. Carsey is replaced by... where's he at? To front. Arkan. I believe that's all we had at this point. Yep, there's only 5 of you.
Yeah.
All right, and she was attacked, and then and at the end of that, episode, Balefire had a knife held to him by a Yanti, as you guys would discover. Isle of Serpents, Yanti. I mean, you knew that was coming.
Yeah.
So anyway, beginning of episode 13 starts off with blade to the neck of Balefire from a rather large Yanti abomination, and Kree flying back to the ships. You guys managed to convince the native Yanti that you meant them no harm, and they actually celebrated you for killing the Chol. And they took you back to the temple. I forget who even knew their language. How you even communicate with them. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
They didn't speak Draconic?
I honestly don't remember.
But if they couldn't, I think Mina probably could have learned it.
Yeah, Mina was able to speak to them because she's got the ability to like understand languages or something. One of her psychic stuff.
Yeah, she's nifty. She's got all kinds of nifty tricks. I'm gonna have
She's a mystic.
Yeah, that's true. Valid point. So you guys do all of this, and you head back into the like the kobold village, town, community thing, and you come across the Temple of Kaivolt. And I believe you go. Yeah, this is where we go in it. They tell you that it's a silver dragon. They've never seen it, but they make sacrifices to it. You guys quickly discover that there's a fire trap at the entrance of the door, like of the temple. So you think this is why they assume that there's a dragon, a fire-breathing dragon in here. And it was set off by motion. There was a statue that spit fire. Mina, I believe, teleported behind it and then covered up the eyes. Is that correct? I believe she did.
Yes.
So you guys go in. Balefire discovers acid because he sets off a trap, tries to outsmart the DM, fails horribly because he gets the face full of acid. Mina sets off a trap on the other side as well. But you guys survive. You make it through. And you get to a locked door. And when you get to this locked door, there's something on the other side of this door, and it's talking to you. And I believe this is the time when Arkin got frustrated and decided to go back into town. He goes back into town, and I forget exactly how, but you guys either open the door or manage to convince the creature on the other side to open the door. And it turns out... I'm sorry?
We convince it.
Oh, that's right, because you talk about Michael.
Yeah, they were talking, and then I brought up Michael, and then the creature's like, wait, you know Michael? And then it opened the door.
And as it turned out, it ended up being a female silver dragonborn that tells you... Actually, she didn't tell you anything. She didn't even tell you her name. At this point, does she? I don't think she does.
At this point, later. Once we get let in, she does.
Yeah, I think later on she does. But she's extremely upset at the news about Michael. And then she decides that she's leaving. She drops her war pick and leaves you to it. If you were there, Michael has sent you for a reason. So she leaves you to it. Shortly after, you guys find a room filled with... What's the thing's called? I even told you. Not the gems. Stained glass... stained glass thingies.
Oh, murals.
Yes, murals. That's the word I'm looking for. So there was these stained glass murals of all of these different types of dragons. And then the one about the black dragon, and it was missing an onyx shard. And surprisingly, Balefire figured it out rather quickly. Oh, I have a shard. And he puts it in, and it opens up the door to the vault. So you go through the vault. There's all this treasure, and there's this large silver dragon statue. And I believe it was either Mina or Rogar did an investigation check and found a secret compartment holding this rod with a dragon-shaped head on it. I think that's how I described it. I don't even remember. I think it was like rainbow-colored. Something like that.
You were right about the dragon head. I think it was just silver, but maybe it was rainbow colored. Have to rewatch it.
Yeah, right. I should write that down. That's probably an artifact. It's probably important.
Nah, I'm sure it won't come up again, Patrick.
Probably not. Nope. Nope. You watch. I'm gonna have an episode that's gonna be this room full of bells. Except it's gonna be like a room full of dragon-headed rods, and you gotta figure out which one is the right one.
Yeah. We'll just play with Vogar and see which one works.
No.
There's actually one important thing to note about that. I forgot that requires attunement.
Yeah, I figured, but it was fun. It was fun in the moment. Real cool.
Yeah.
So.
But that was pretty funny. So anyway, that's where that episode ended, actually. and Arkin was kind of feeling upset because he didn't get to do anything. Episode 14 picks up with you guys coming back onto the ship, and you find out that a silver female dragonborn had boarded one of the ships. And you convince the captain to disembark off to take you to Kalari. I think there was some conversation that initially you were going to go back to Leverus, but eventually the group decided to go back to Kalari. Am I right? I think I'm right. Clearly I'm right, because I don't think you ever went back to Leverus.
They did go back to Leverus, definitely, because they bumped into Grimshaw and that again, and he sort of welcomed them all back.
That was when they left the tower.
Oh, okay.
And they had to go back and find the ships. So yep. You are correct. They did bump back into him a second time, but there wasn't a third time.
Okay.
Yeah. So on the way, you talk to the Silverback Dragonborn, and she introduces herself as Talissa. And she was a part of a group of adventurers led by Michael, that consisted of Michael, Grimshaw, a kobold named Koa that you guys actually met rescued in the cells of the Tower of at the Lyceum of the Lyceum. That was kind of like a short bit, but one important thing to note is that he had a broom for a staff, and that'll come into play later. So anyway, he she tells you that it was Michael, Grimshaw, Koa, herself, and a human named Draco, along with, I want to say, an Earth genocide named Deljuana. I don't remember if I actually said that out loud or not, but I'm saying it now. So yes, there'll be an Earth genocide. Surprise!
Wait, what?
Nothing. Go back to reading your books.
I'm not. I was reading stuff about. I was reading like old notes and stuff I had in case there was anything like important. You know?
No, I'm just messing with you. I'm messing with you.
Notes, and I was like, wait, what?
So anyway, she tells you all of this, and then she tells you that about this creature called Namaruz, which is the Mind Flayer. I don't remember if she told you that it was the Twisted Darkness, or if anybody ever picked up on that. Okay, good deal. That plays
the
out.
What?
Exactly. It plays out later. We'll get to that in just a second. It ties it all together, trust me. So they go to Rydell Keep to steal the Rod of Dragon Control, and then to go hide it. And that's pretty much like the gist of what all she says. And then you guys sell for a little while, and then get attacked by a friendly creature that tried to hug everyone, called a rock, and some brown eagles. Yeah, several brown eagles. And you guys dispose of them using ballistas, octopus, and
Befriending.
And what?
Remember, I sent the first one away by befriending it, telling it I would feed it later.
Ah, got you. Yep. To which you never did, so it's really upset about that.
I mean, I didn't say how later it was later.
4 years later.
I brought you a fish.
So anyway, you guys defeated the rock and its flock of eagles, and then it destroyed one of the ships. So you were down. You went from 3 ships to 2 ships, and headed on into this rumored port town off the coast, the eastern coast of Ebelon. And at the end of that episode, you determined that it was populated by a bunch of kobold. So then we move on to episode 15, and you guys get your first taste of the port town of Dianuth, which, like I said, is full of kobolds. The chieftain there, his name is Kruk. Kruk. Is it Kruk?
Yeah, it's Crook.
Yes, because Scanned, one of that is anyway. So he gets you guys there. You tell him what you want to do, and in order for him to agree to this, he tells you that you have to play in a game called Club and Ball. To which you guys were like, "Oh, what's that?" And so we go through the whole rules thing about what Club and Ball is, and you start playing against a team of kobolds. The game, you guys start playing, and then the game, like we end that episode with you guys like halfway. You're at a score of 5-5. So that's really the only things to note of that is you come into this town, you meet the chief. Oh, that's your first exposure to flipperin fruit. Flipperum. So anyway, episode 16 starts off with you guys finishing up the round of Club and Ball, and before you can actually finish, you start doing a good number, and be this by design by the DM, or just by coincidence, or whatever, but a horn goes off and freaks everyone out, and then you find out that there was a daughter of a nearby farmer, or his daughter ran into the swamp, and there was these creatures in the swamp. And the chieftain tells you that if you go and rescue her, he will agree to, whatever, to give you supplies and all that kind of stuff. So you guys agree and head off into the swamp. I think you guys search for about an hour. You find her tracks, and then you come across these larger reptilian type tracks, and you stumble upon these bodies of these lizard folk. And then these creatures. Somebody rolled a 1 on a stealth check as you guys were trying to run through there. I believe that was Arkin. Am I correct?
Possibly, yes. Yeah, it was. He fell over face first in the mud.
He was taking a cat, yes. He's still muted.
Oh no, I saw Randy. So at this point, you guys don't have the element of surprise anymore, and then get attacked by these creatures, these large reptilian-looking creatures without eyes, that somehow Mina had read a book about. Because she rolled a freaking nat 20 on her damn nature check. And you guys come to find out that these creatures are called Deshertrons. They're from the Penumbra. They have sonic attacks. But they still are devastating because they do a number on you guys.
Yeah, they weren't fun. I mean, the fight was kind of fun, but the shouting in the face was not fun.
Yeah, the voices need to come down to, indoor voices.
Indoor voice. They were using their big boy voice.
But you think that was blind would have more sensitive ears and would pop gentler. But no, it was shouting.
Yeah, they were immune to the thunder as well, which sucked.
What if that was a whisper for them?
No. Yeah, that was not the indoor voice.
So anyway, you guys fight them. Bellfire, I think, gets knocked unconscious during that fight. But you do manage to kill them and to save Tekka. Tekka is her name. The little kobold daughter, farmer's daughter. And then you guys head back into Dianuth. That's actually where we end episode 16, and you guys go into episode 17. Episode 17 finds you getting back into Dianuth and being celebrated by all of the kobolds. The chieftain decides to throw you guys a feast. You guys actually go and talk to the blacksmith, and then the blacksmith tells you about their iron mine. They don't really know what it is. They're tinkering around with iron really for the first time. If you remember her name was Kane, which could come into play later. So you guys go into this iron mine, and basically there's just ore, like iron ore, just kind of chunks of it laying around everywhere in this mine. So you're like, I know Arkin said that I'm just seeing dollar signs pop up in my eyes.
Yep.
Because you know, iron and steel, that's your currency of the world. Especially that's why these sailors were in Leverus. They were trying to kickstart the economy from Serenity. So, so you guys are, oh, I can use this. You know, we can take it back, tell the captain about it, and that's what you do. However, the conversation didn't really go the way you thought it was going to go. And
No, because the captain was a jerk.
they had other plans. Their plans, and I believe it was Mina, or it could have been Arkin. One of you two used your detect thoughts on him, and was it Arkin?
Yeah.
And used your detect thoughts on him, and discovered that he had plans to basically enslave the kobolds and steal all their resources. And you guys weren't going to have that because you enjoyed the kobolds. So, which actually kind of touched my heart a little bit. But anyway, so a fight ensues, and you guys destroy one of the ships with a well-placed shatter.
It was like with 4 well-placed shatters.
What's
Yeah,
that?
well, there were only 2 shatters. There was the first one that destroyed the ship, and then there was a second one later where Vogar got really pissed off with the captain and
Well, yeah.
Turned his head to mush.
yeah, went a bit demolition man.
So you guys did this because, and there's a reason for that. Rogar has issues with that kind of stuff, and we'll explain that very soon. So you guys kill all of the sailors for these ships, with the exception of one. You get down to the last one, and Arkin's like, "Wait, no, don't kill him." So he's like terrified out of his mind. I said, "What the hell's going on?" And you guys were like, "Congratulations, you're the new captain." He's like, "Oh, thank you." Please don't kill me. What's that?
He's like, congratulations, you're the new captain. Don't get on our bad side.
Yeah. See what happened to the last captain.
Yeah.
I'm captain of the ship now. Anyway, so you guys head back to Dianuth, because you're in need of sailors. And why not? Because kobolds are awesome. So let's do it.
Not honored.
You guys go back with this in hand, and at that point, I believe it was Balefire gave the captain his feathers as a gesture of good faith. From his feathers from the rock. And you guys hatch a plan with the chieftain to sail the ship to Kalari, and he agrees. But first they're going to feast, because kobolds feast. They like to have fun. So during this time, there's some flibberin fruit fun, along with some poison fun.
Yeah.
But this is actually the beginning of episode 18.
It's like the climax of the story.
Yeah, but it wasn't poison though, was it, Patrick?
So we get into episode 18. They're doing some stuff around town. Balefire decides that he wants to apply some poisonous mushroom that Mina had identified as poison. Quotation marks. So he starts doing it. He applies the first one, no problem. He goes to apply the second one, and I swear, I believe I said in chat, let him roll a 1.
Yep.
And sure enough, he rolls a 1. And he goes to like insert his arrow into the mushroom and stabs himself.
Insert his arrow into hand.
Yes. So arrow goes into mushroom, into hand, and then chaos ensued as this parasite begins to grow, eating his blood. And it is what's the word I'm looking for?
Like, gross.
yeah. All these boils start pulling up because basically it's eating you. But when Rogar tries to cast a divine spell on it, it amplifies and it, like, accelerates its growth. And its like its gestation period is basically from wherever it enters your body through you and to get to your stomach and then busts out. So yes, I stole the idea, but hey, it looked like worms. So they try to do all of this stuff to it, and the second mushroom, something happens with a mist or like a puff of dust from the second mushroom.
Oh, they lit it on fire and it exploded. No, he shocked it, didn't he?
Oh, you're muted. You're
He
muted.
shocked it. I'm muted?
No, Randy.
No, we electrocuted it because we were looking for something that we could do to like kill it. We thought, well, maybe it'll die to electricity, but that just blew up the mushroom. Oops.
So when that happened, this little puff of mist comes out. I think Rogar passed his save, but Mina did not, and she like inhaled a bit of it, and it started like eating down her throat. And at this point, Jess is over there like freaking out because she has a thing with parasites. I'm gonna have to use that more later.
One has a thing for something, you know.
Yeah, I know. But so Mina to combat this turned basically into a ghost. And
I used a potion.
Oh, the etherealness. Gotcha. Yes, and then stepped out of it, and so there's like this withering ball of like, I don't know. I forgot how I described it, but it freaked Jess out too, because I think I said it looked like worms.
Yeah, it was a floating mass of ghost worms at this point.
Yeah, there you go. And then at that point, the gestation period was complete inside of Balefire, and it popped out of his stomach, to which it did a lot of damage to him, but he survived it because he's Balefire. I mean, Balefire survives a lot, surprisingly. For now.
Yeah. It was just a stomach. He doesn't need that.
Yeah. Who needs a stomach?
It's made him pretty strong.
What's that?
I said he survived by himself for a really long time and just kind of gave him an iron gut because he took all of his own meals and no one really taught him how.
So you're saying you can't cook?
Look, it will not be raw.
So Rogar actually healed him and got him back up to speed. Some time passed, and then you guys got back on the ship. I don't think anything else happened in Leverus at that point. Gathered some supplies and then headed out.
Yeah, we got the supplies.
Whoa.
Arkan had kind of wandered off at that point.
We got the kobolds to be our new crew.
Yeah. You basically came up with a deal with the chieftain, and he was cool with it.
The other really, 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 really important thing was that the chieftain got to make a hand glider.
Oh yeah.
Out of the rock feathers.
Oh yeah.
We're not there yet.
Well, you did already give him the rock feathers. At this
yes.
point.
Yeah, but we don't know what he used them for.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Well, he's already ruined the surprise.
Yeah, he did enjoy riding on the bear quite a lot as well.
Yes, that's right.
They all did. They took turns, like a bunch of little kids.
They love fun.
Balefire was bad.
So you guys embark out on the sea, heading towards Kalari, and that's when you found out what the chieftain had done with the feathers. He tied a rope around himself. He put on the suit, tied a rope around himself, and then jumped off the back of the ship, and basically was gliding there using these rock feathers. So he made a wingsuit, essentially.
He turned himself into a kite.
Yeah, and he was having a grand time. You've never seen a happier kobold. And then some other kobolds got to try it out, and then one failed. So anyway, and then some time passed, and then you guys start making it up to Kalari. You can see the vortex, and the kobolds stop outside. You guys get in rowboats, and then you head in, passing without any problems. You leave the rowboat behind. You start going more inland, and then you start hearing these sounds. You can see piercing through this fog that covers the land, this light that you assume is the portal. And then you can hear the flapping of wings above you. And you get closer, and something alarms these flying creatures above you to your presence, and they swoop down and attack. And they end up being these bat Aarakocra from the Penumbra. You dispatch of them pretty quickly, actually, and then head on towards the portal, readying yourselves for anything you might encounter. And as you get closer, Arkin's out kind of in front, and Rogar hears this kind of like a muttered breath, and Arkin's disguised self phases away. And he appears in his true form, which is a tiefling. I described it in full, with black hair, the curved horns, and everything. To which no one has ever seen. Well, actually, they've seen it one time before, but they didn't know that it was actually his form. He had used that form on the ship before, but everybody just thought it was like another disguise. So it worked out in his favor. And then this figure emerges from behind one of the trees over to the right of the portal. And he comes out and he says, Arkin, is that you? And Arkin recognized him as the drow Alistair. And then shortly after, two more figures appear, and it turns out it is an older version of the human Heidi and Jared, that had been here fighting for the last 50 plus years to keep these creatures at bay. And that's when you discover that they've lost comrades, and then there's a plan that you guys have the Rod of Dragon control, and there's this ancient red dragon that lives up in the mountains that you're going to try and convince to come with you. Because, why not? You have a great bargaining chip right now. Because I would not want to be on his bad side if that rod failed. I just want to throw that out there. And that's where we pretty much ended season 1. And sorry, I'm just going to say that pretty much, I think, recaps everything, but we're about to touch up on a lot of subjects.
Yeah, we did close that portal as well.
Yes, you did.
So, one down.
So, let's do this. There's going to be a lot of questions, a lot of loopholes that I need to fill. Starting with, I'm going to start with Rogar. It was discovered later that Rogar was well, maybe it was. I don't know. I'm assuming here. Rogar in his past life was a dragonborn. He was killed, and his family was taken hostage or as slaves by some humans. He's not really sure who it was. He just has pieces of his memory. Melina came to him, brought him back to life in the body of Ethrin. So he's basically a dragonborn stuck in an elf's body, and he is a cleric of Melina, a Tempest cleric at that. So he's got all kinds of fun happening with him. All these mixed emotions, which is why he has those wild reptilian eyes. That is the one thing that he kept. And you actually have your dragon breath.
I do.
You have all the racial abilities of a dragon, or of a dragonborn. You just look like an elf.
Yep.
So that could work to your advantage. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Well, that's mostly why I was so pissed off at the slavery guy. He sort of doesn't. Other than that, though, he doesn't know who he is. He doesn't have very many memories. He just sort of has just himself and his faith in Melina and whatever happens next.
Fair enough. And as the DM, I get to use that to my advantage, because as things come up, I can be like, "Oh yeah, you remember this. You've heard this voice before," and it sends you to a flying rage or something. I don't know. Now, Arkin's story is quite interesting. I'm gonna let Graham take this one because things changed from its original story.
Yeah, Arkan's story's evolved quite a bit over the campaign. He's had, 2 players and a temporary player, and he sort of joined halfway through. With the reveal in last night's Destiny campaign, Arkan's token might make a bit more sense now. If you look at his token, there's actually that white mask on there. And that white mask is the symbol of the cult of the Twisted Darkness, which is the Mind Flayer Lich thing that is back in the Lyceum Tower. Arkan's been playing a very dangerous game in the new role. So he is a warlock, but he's actually a warlock with 2 patrons. He's using the Twisted Darkness as one patron, and he's using the Weaver of Lies, who is opposed to the Twisted Darkness, as the other patron. The main one is the Weaver of Lies, and he is there to fight against this Mind Flayer Lich thing, but he's kind of playing sort of double agent in that they thought that the best way for him to do that would be to infiltrate the cult of the Twisted Darkness and essentially use that to find out what's going on and work against them from the inside. That's quite a dangerous thing for a warlock to do, given how much that things can be inside your head. But at the same time, with the Twisted Darkness focused on maintaining this massive vortex of power and being so weak at the moment, he thinks that he's probably okay for now in terms of getting away with it. It does mean that as things change, he may have to sort of like drop one of the patrons and drop the Twisted Darkness side of things, but we haven't really gone there yet. The other thing is that he is actually much younger in appearance than all of the sort of human lifespan antecedents characters, but he's from their time. So he was sort of around back when Mordecai disappeared and when the Lyceum was doing its original things and the issues with the Twisted Darkness escaping was going on. But after the battle at Rydell Keep, when things started to go their separate ways, and if you watch last night's episode as well, you can find out more about what the antecedents were doing then. One of the plans that the Twisted Darkness had was that he was going to send Arkan forward into the future to protect him. And all the people working for the Weaver of Lies, so Arkan, Alistair, they all thought this was a great idea to make sure someone was in the future to continue the opposition. So after the battle, Arkan kind of jumps forward in time and ends up, in the Destiny campaign era and setting. So he's known a few things throughout the campaign that he's not shared with people. He's kind of kept his own counsel quite a lot. When they were in the Lyceum Tower originally, he knew what the creature was. He knew that was the Twisted Darkness, and it wasn't a Lich, and it wasn't just a Mind Flayer. But don't shoot me for that one. I wasn't playing Archon at the time. But at the same time, if he just came out and said, "Oh yeah, by the way, this is a greater elemental essence from the Penumbra," he'd be in a lot of trouble. If you sort of go back to when Patrick introduced Archon, he was actually the prisoner in the ship that got wrecked. So the ship that was smashed up by the Dragon Orca. At the time, Archon was a prisoner on that ship. So when he came out and joined the party, he doesn't know who these people are. He doesn't know whether they're going to help him. He doesn't know whether they're going to try and not help him. So he spends the next period of time getting a bit of a feel for them, and can I trust these people? Can I not trust these people? Are these good people? Are these not good people? He's kind of reached a few conclusions, having sort of fought at their side a couple of times now. They fought off the Rock, which was quite a big threat. They fought off the weird shouty lizard things, which was quite a big threat. They fought off the crew, which, although individually was less scary, there were a lot of them, and that kind of gives him a bit of a gauge on their morality. We're not putting up with slavers and all that sort of stuff. So, in terms of allies to have with you trying to save the world, these are probably a reasonable bet. So when they end up at the other portal, he kind of introduces the two groups and tries to make sure no one shoots anyone first, or no one like lightning bolts anyone or hits anyone with a broom or webs anyone up. So he's trying to keep the peace between the two groups and kind of tie them together a little bit. So that's where Archon's story currently is. It's kind of evolved a little bit as the campaign's gone on. He was always a tiefling from the point when I took him over. I think he was human before that, and we changed his pact up a little bit. So those who remembered that he used to have a familiar, the familiar disappeared and he couldn't make people invisible anymore. That was part of essentially that was part of the Twisted Darkness punishing him. When he sent his familiar, which was this sort of bit of the Twisted Darkness, into the temple and got it killed, essentially. When he tried to summon the familiar back, it was replaced with a book. And the Twisted Darkness response was basically, let's see if you can look after a book for a little while before I give you a familiar again. So he was kind of being punished there, but that gave us a bit of a chance to sort of tweak the character a little bit and make him a little bit different, put a bit of a different spin on him. He didn't really necessarily have much of a direction until a little bit later in the campaign in terms of whether he was going to side with one side or the other, which is one of the other reasons he kept his mouth shut about a lot of things. But he's kind of come to a conclusion now, and he actually has a sort of a bit of a plot arc. So that's kind of what Archon's doing and where he is. So he's decided he likes the group and he trusts the group, and he's going to introduce them to the other good people in the world. And yeah, he did keep his mouth shut when he was outnumbered 4-1, because if you're outnumbered 4-1 and you go, oh, by the way, that's the big bad evil guy. Yeah, I'm kind of an apprentice. No, hang on, don't kill me. It's not great. So he waited till there was sort of like at least 3 people that would back him up and go, no, he's not evil, really. So that it wouldn't be an instant death sentence if he said, by the way, there's some stuff I need to tell you guys. So he did come out and start explaining that at the end of the last episode, going, okay, there's a little bit more to this. I know what this creature is. So do these people. We're still fighting it, but let's have a sit down. Let's come up with a plan. We've got the Rod of Dragon control with us in this island. We've got the scrolls that can take down these portals. We've got the coins that let us move in and out of this whirling void thing. What are we going to do? And the group kind of decided, let's take down the portals and stop the penumbra coming through here. I will leave that bit back for Patrick, but that's kind of where Archon's going. So yeah, he's been quiet, but he's not been deliberately lying, if that makes sense. But he did enjoy keep changing his form to make sure people knew he wasn't a tiefling. Tieflings are, they are either devil or demon ancestry, depending on the type. So he figured that it wasn't best to walk around just after, like, dragons and draconic looking things scoured the world with big horns and, red skin. So he's been hiding that. He did enjoy the fight on the ship where he got to actually show his form and float and use a booming voice and make all the flames glow purple. And the fact that no one cottoned onto it, but there were hints as to what he was. He would use Hellish Rebuke in a fight at the first opportunity he got, which involved speaking in his native tongue, which is Infernal. And he did use a couple of other things like sort of the thaumaturgy racial abilities, but no one seemed to pick up on it at the time. I don't think anyone picked up on it at the time. So, yeah, you now have all the background to Arkan and what he's been up to.
Shame.
Shame? Why is that shame?
Well, just he lied.
He didn't lie. He just didn't say anything.
We spent months together.
Yeah, he didn't say anything. He didn't lie and go, by the way, I'm not a warlock for the Twisted Darkness.
Do you want to get punched in the face? Because that's how you get punched in the face.
And trust me, getting punched by Rogar is not fun.
No, but if you punch him in the face, Rogar's got his neat little lightning to it, Arkan's got his neat little fire to it, so...
And Balefire has a bow.
Yeah.
So Balefire has his own interesting little backstory that there were some hints dropped in and out throughout the whole thing. You want to take this, Reid, or you want me to do it?
Well, I'll let you do it because I'm not sure how much I'm supposed to share yet.
Well, let me ask you a question. First off, what holes or what questions are there about Balefire? Like, has anybody had any kind of questions pop up here or there about Balefire?
Does he know?
Does he know what?
That Titan probably wants him as an avatar.
Balefire?
Yes.
Shit.
All right, there's your answer.
I'm not laughing at the question. I'm laughing at the response to the answer.
So, as far as Kree goes, as her character, most of it was already kind of like given. She's from a small owl Aarakocra flock that lives along the bluffs around Dragon's Bluff. She has a second job / business, thanks to, actually, I think it was Kiki playing her during one of the episodes. She set up a little fish business in Leverus. Got some of her family to run that, so they're trying to get steel bits, which is the currency. So that's going on. As far as Mina's character is concerned, she grew up in the Needlevine Forest, which actually will come into play very soon because I have an idea, but it's for the Antecedents campaign, visiting the Needlevine Forest. And there's a reason for that, and she's actually mentioned it before, because she's come across mind flayers before, living in the Needlevine Forest. So, as it stands, you guys in season 2, the way it's looking, will be teaming up with Jared, Heidi, and Alistair to go convince this gargantuan, this ancient red dragon to come fight with you to take down Namaruz, which is the Twisted Darkness. Or at least that's the goal. This red dragon might just be like, screw you, I'm a red dragon. It depends on how well you roll.
Oh, good.
He could just eat you right there.
But we got to come up with a good argument to make the rolls easier. That's all I can say.
I'll give you advantage if you give him the Rod of Dragon Control.
Yeah,
Wait,
but we
who?
really need to keep
Advantage?
hold of the Rod of Dragon control in case we screw up the roll.
Yeah, I'm sort of leaning toward we just don't tell them we have it at all. Like that's a last resort.
Yeah,
I
we'll
don't
think
trust
about,
that with a red dragon. Are you kidding me?
yeah, we'll think about that. I think we need time. We need time, Patrick.
Oh, what did I do? I gave my players a very powerful artifact.
Yeah, that will go really badly if they use it.
That's a valid point. That's a valid point.
Yeah.
Because, okay, so here's one of the things that I mentioned last night. Now, in the time from the Antecedents campaign, the Twisted Darkness came out. He told his, I can't say disciple because Glinda's not much of a disciple. Sorry, that sounded horrible. She's more of a, not a minion because she's higher level than a minion. I'll just say she's a lieutenant. There we go. She's a lieutenant. That he required a vessel, and I'm thinking about doing a one shot with Glinda, Simeon, and maybe a couple other characters that go after a mind flayer and try to capture it, so that can be the vessel. Now, the whole reasoning behind this, and I can tell you this part so it all makes sense story wise. The Dragon Onslaught and the Mind Flayer and the Rod of Dragon Control. Basically, the Twisted Darkness took control of this Mind Flayer, and doing so amplified his power 1,000 times. Using the Rod of Dragon Control, he scoured the world and took control of all the dragons under the ruse of one called Silifraximar, which was a copper red dragon that it talks about in the prologue. She was, in theory, the leader, but that was just a ruse, so to speak. It's what he wanted the rest of the world to think. So they, continent by continent, started attacking up until Rydell Keep. Rydell Keep plays a very important part of it because that's when Michael and his group of adventurers of Grimshaw, Koa, Talissa, Deljuani, and Draco stole the rod from him as it was being transported. And I'm also going to use that to bring in Jared, Alistair, Mordecai, Arkin, and I haven't figured out who the other one is. What is the other one? What am I missing?
Heidi?
Is it Heidi? Maybe I didn't say Heidi. But they're gonna go after Glinda, and that's gonna be the Antecedents campaign. So all of that, there's a lot of stuff that's gonna happen, and there's gonna be a lot of crossing over with the characters. Season 2 of the Destiny campaign is going to be you guys starting out in your attempt to take down Nemaruz. So we'll see how that goes. One of the things, and I told this to the guys last night, one of the things that I want to do is I want to streamline the streams. There's too many streams in that sentence. Basically, what I mean by this is I want to avoid all of the off-topic conversations, keep it game-related, and keep things running smoothly. Try and avoid as many interruptions as we can, which also means that as far as chat goes, I'm only going to be responding to just in the chat. I'm not going to respond saying, "Oh, look, so-and-so said this." Does that make sense? Just because I want to keep going with the story, keep it moving forward, and try and cut it down to where it's about 2 hours per episode. I think that's a good, reasonable time for everyone. Does it make sense? All right. With that, with trying to cut the times down, I'm also going to double check with everyone, but my intention is to change the start time for the Destiny campaign to 7 p.m. That way it gives everybody time to get home, to get online, and to eat dinner before the stream. Does that make sense?
Yes, that
All
works well.
So, I know there's other things that's gonna pop up. There's a lot of stuff that we missed. I tried to hit all the key points that I remembered that I wanted to point out. Do you guys have any other questions there? Any other lingering things that you want to know?
I guess it's more sort of like discussion and plot wise, because as far as I can work out, Arkan doesn't actually know anything about the whole Titan Kid War Milena thing.
Well,
He wasn't there when everyone died, and no one's actually talked about it. So he's just kind of come in and gone, okay, there's this Namiru's Twisted Darkness thing we need to kill. He's not kind of aware of the other half of what's going on, as far as I know.
I would argue no, because we spent months together at this point. I feel like it would have come up in conversation. Plus, I'm a cleric of Melena, so that would have raised some questions with your character.
And I believe that Rogar has actually publicly said, "I'm a cleric of Melina." She came to me.
Yeah.
And you've seen him do things.
Yeah. But he did his whole "I'm a cleric" thing in a hospital when he was somewhere else. I don't know what the group. That was what his job was at some point. When everyone was sort of came back and did their job, he went off to the hospital and healed people.
It was the second time to Livers.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't want to know,
I mean, it's
about the
not
Titan War, that's okay. We can play that.
Yeah, it's not that I don't want to know. It's just I don't know whether it sort of came up and I missed it or what it is. Because yeah, that's fine. I didn't know if you were hiding it because I know Balefire. I know Balefire's not said anything about Titan, so
right. He's sort of being quiet about it, but I don't think Rogar is certainly not tight-lipped about it, and Mina probably isn't either.
Yeah, just need someone to actually ask her. Okay.
Now, the I'm gonna change. I want to change a few things for the way I handle kind of the way the story unfolds. I want to. Yeah, never mind. I take that back. Disregard. Let's wait.
Patrick, you can't say that and then do that. I'm just kidding.
I do have a request though. At some point, can Graham send me a new picture of Arkan?
Yes.
Okay. That way we can get the whole tiefling thing on there.
Yep. That's cool.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Right. Let's see. What else? I can't think of anything else. We actually did pretty well and hit all the key points that I wanted to. Storm's brewing. Now, does anybody have any questions about the air genocide?
Will we see him again?
Do you want to see him again?
I mean, that was a pretty cool thing that there's definitely more behind it.
Oh yes. I can tell you what it is. I think I told you guys part of it.
You did tell us part of it, but it was a cool thing.
Okay.
I like doing cool things.
Grimshaw, you'll definitely see Grimshaw again. Let's see. You may or may not see the Mind Flayer again.
Will we see Kyron again?
Who? Kieran?
Yeah, Karen.
Honestly, probably not. Simply because Ethrin doesn't exist anymore, so that storyline kind of died with it. The only reason I could bring him back out again is if he was mistaken Rogar for Ethrin, and he can tell him that he got oh, he's dead. Oh no, what do you mean he's dead? That type of thing.
What? Oh, so well, if he's never coming back, was he truthful? Did he actually think we had a chance to kill the?
So, okay, did you have a chance to kill the Mind Flayer?
Yeah.
He was willing to give it a shot. Here's the thing. Kieran had originally started to work for the Lyceum after the Dragon Onslaught. However, he quickly learned that the head of this whole thing wasn't of this world. So he, quote unquote, kind of did what Arkham was doing. He was like an inside source, but he had to keep the ruse. And that's another reason why he didn't kill you guys. He just beat the hell out of you and left. That's why he said, oh, you have no idea what you're up against, and left. So it's kind of like that, and that's why he approached you and told you to attack at that time, because he was weakened. He didn't have all of the resources. So could you have defeated him with some really, 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 really good rolls? It's possible. Anything's possible if you roll well. But this thing was powerful.
If you only roll 20s, you'll probably do pretty well.
You only roll 20, you might beat it.
But every time you roll like 1 damage.
Well, I obviously, I mean, you read a spell list to us, and it was like 6th or 8th level spells or something. So like, I know that we didn't actually have a chance. I was just wondering if Kieran thought we had a chance, or if he was just throwing us as fodder.
Yeah.
No, he was hoping that you guys had a chance. He saw an opportunity that this would be his weakest point, and wanted to use that against him. So he was trying to like fill your head with hope.
Yeah. I did notice that Kieran's plan basically involved saying, you go off and fight that thing, I'll stay here. Which was like, great.
Yeah, pretty much. So he was trying to say it under the ruse of, oh, in case you fail, I'll still be here to come up with another plan.
Yeah.
It almost worked.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Kieran, what other NPCs do you guys come across? Roland. Roland had a backstory. He is essentially a druid, and he is tasked with guarding this tree. What this tree does, you guys have no idea. But basically, he got tricked by the hag. He got captured, and he couldn't get out of that little chest because she had it lined with runes and stuff. So he couldn't use any of his magic. But there's more to that story, because that area is kind of like a sanctuary. So the hag was using it to lure in creatures so she could eat them. But there is a good story to it, if you ever revisit that area, because that area has a bit of an importance or significance to people like Rogar, who needs a statue to worship. Let's see, other NPCs.
The little kobold that we rescued, that was a wizard.
That was Koa.
Right.
Koa is currently on the screen right now as a copperish-looking kobold with a blue cloak. I just thought about something I need to write down, though. I'm gonna have fun with that one. Does anybody remember the name Lilitrex?
I remember the
Yes.
name. Yeah, it was the dragon.
It was the dragon that supposedly led the army.
No,
that was Scylla Fraximar.
Lilitrex was the
It was
no.
the one in the cave too.
It was a dragonborn, right?
Lilitrex
So,
Lilitrex was actually a green dragon that fought at the Battle of Rydell Keep. She was responsible for like that layer that you guys found the inscription in the stone that led you to the Temple of the Kaivolt was Lilitrex's lair. And she made this hybrid green dragon snake, which is what you guys fought. So the babies killed killed Ethryn. Just think of what the mommy could do. But Lilitrex will come into play in season 2. Yep. Yep. Oh, that's gonna be fun. You said you wanted a dragon. You got it.
I had one question, which is I don't know whether it's like plot hole or whatever, but Alistair, Jared, and Heidi have been on this island sort of fighting against horrible things with their companions and comrades for like 50 odd years. Did they go there before the vortex went up and get trapped there, or did they have some way of crossing the vortex themselves?
They had a way to get in.
They had a one-way ticket.
Yeah. And basically they were sent there, and it's not going to make a difference, because it's all going to happen at the end of the season. If we got all these speculations, something's going to happen though. There's stuff that's going to happen. There's story that's going to unfold. It's kind of like when you're watching a movie and you see the ending, but now let's go back 24 hours later and see, or before, and see how it happened. It's sort of that kind of thing. But basically, they were sent there by Michael to guard the portals, because the portals got thrown up. They knew all these horrible things were coming out. They went in with a small force, and as you saw, there was only those 3 left. So they lost, like I said, they lost companions along the way.
Yeah.
And an eye. Somewhere along the line, Alistair loses an eye. Apparently you guys missed that description. Oh, whoops.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Tim, we need to talk. Oh, man, he's going to watch this later. He's going to be like, what? What do you mean? Yeah. Where's Miss Charlotte?
Yeah, he is at work at the minute. I tried to convince him to get on the stream, but talk to us, but no, he's busy like working and earning money and being an adult and all the other crazy things. So,
to answer your question, Reid, no, I have not.
Okay.
I got a couple of weeks to figure that out.
Yes, you do.
So, other NPCs of note. Let's see, we talked about Grimshaw. There was a whole slew of NPCs in Leverus, that little port town that you guys were in. I can't think of any other ones that you guys that were really important. Temple of Kaivolt. Kaivolt, we talked a little bit about Kaivolt. Kaivolt was a silver dragon that lived on the Isle of Serpents that the Yuan-ti worshipped, which they built that temple for him. And then he went off to fight in the Dragon Onslaught, and nobody knows what happened to him.
Yeah, there is that other sort of boat crew bobbing around somewhere when they left Leverus the first time.
Captain Issa Underlake.
Yeah.
And her crew.
Yeah.
They probably washed up on shore somewhere. Some of them probably got killed by the troglodytes as well. She may or may not pop up later. That could be a whole seafaring campaign at some point. Who knows? But her story was kind of minor. She got arrested for something that she didn't even do. I believe we had discussed it over the stream that it was the captain that had killed Utar because of his wife leaving him for Utar. So and then you guys come back the second time to Leverus and he's in charge.
Yeah.
So that's fun. That'll always be fun. Always be fun. But there's there's a lot of things that could happen. Another thing that's going to happen in season 2 of the Antecedents campaign is that they need to go back and rescue Mordecai out of the elemental plane of fire, which is where he currently is. So Arkin is going to make an appearance in the Antecedents campaign. Now, it's up to you if you want to play him or if you want someone else to play him 59 years before Arkin really comes into play.
Cool. Yeah, we can work that out at the time, but yeah, that could be cool.
So it kind of like, this gives us an opportunity to bring some players over from one campaign and move them to the other, just to, to toss things up a little bit. Because like I said, I still have Alistair, Jared, and Heidi that I'm going to try to fit into this one. Or they might just be NPCs that I control. We'll see.
Yeah, and I know that Aaron was talking about Tilly with sort of possibly rose-tinted glasses last night. He was so great, he never hit anything. He was great, but he never hit anything.
Tilly has yet to resurface. He, like I said, he left questioning his own morality and his ability to accomplish anything. His really only true accomplishment was Crooks, and it was a cat that barked.
Yeah, and died a fairly horrible death.
Wait, did Crooks die? No.
Well,
we
no,
joked around.
Did the blacksmith take him to pieces?
We joked around that he did, but
okay.
It was never actually determined what happened to Crooks.
Yeah, to be fair, the blacksmith.
What were you saying, Graham?
No, I was to say, carry on, Reid. Reid decided so.
Hello, Reid?
What?
What were you saying?
Oh, I said Balefire tried to find Crooks to keep him with him until he returns. But...
Yeah. I mean, if the blacksmith worked out what he had, he probably wouldn't have woken him up. He's probably worth a lot more as a weird, gnomish mechanical cat.
Yeah.
Even if he barks.
It can be a guard dog? Question mark.
Yeah. What's that? This is my guard cat dog thing.
Matt, what? So yeah, Tilly may or may not pop back up. Who knows? We really have no idea what's going to happen with Tilly. I have no idea. That's what I got. I have no idea. There's no plans one way or the other on Tilly. He may just be a convenience that pops up one day, or it might be written in. I might have a plan already. I just can't tell you. So it's just kind of watch and find out. Let's see. Fable. That one didn't matter. Harkin died. Carsey ran away and is yet to be seen. Balefire
what
tried.
If Carsey becomes Titan's avatar because he's the one that touched the damn orb?
Yeah, he is not one of the special peoples.
I mean, it that could be a possibility too. But there's a reason. There's other reasons too. He could come back as a lackey. I mean, who knows? He could, Carsey could come back as a villain. Maybe he's got a criminal empire somewhere. But I think that pretty much rounds it up. I know Koa ended up going back with the Aarakocra Keys family, or Kree's family. Key. But outside of that, I think that's the only other NPC. Talissa, you guys kind of lost track of her.
Yeah, the kobold said that she went ashore while we were off in the swamp, and yeah,
she gone.
Bye. I think that's it. I think that's it. One thing I want to note is that I am currently working on the website. I'm going to change some stuff around, kind of consolidate some pages, put links on one page to all the other like lore pages, and I'm going to add some kind of player and DM resources. I'm just going to try and start expanding it for the TPC, of course, but make things easier for you guys to find. So if there's anything that comes up, it's there.
Cool.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Anything
have a couple
else?
of
I'm sorry?
I have a couple of ideas I want to run by you, but off camera.
Off camera. Uh-oh.
Another
Uh-oh.
message.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. That's going to be
We have
fun.
a few.
There are a few things I'm going to change as well in regards to like the viewer bought items and stuff. One giant thing in particular is the randomness of the goat is going away. It hasn't made its way into the Destiny campaigns that really it has, but it hasn't.
Yeah, it did one random thing.
Yeah, and it alerted the bat Aarakocra to you guys.
Right.
But outside
right,
of that,
yeah.
there is some other thing. There's something that's going to happen with the red dragon later on if everything plays out right.
What does that involve the goat?
Is it really random?
What's that?
I was going to say, does the red dragon thing involve the goat, or is this something else?
No, it's something else.
Okay.
Okay.
It doesn't involve the goat. The other thing is I'm going to do is, I have the store bought items that for you guys, the healing potions, the nat 20s, the fumble nopes things in the mansion and the long rest. I'm going to limit those 3 per episode for the viewers to buy for you guys. And then I'm going to I'm taking away the random potion. And I'm going to add a bottle of Silver Slugger. Just because it's the same thing. It just limits all of the... Like, basically, the only way you'll ever know what it does is if you drink it. That's the only way you can ever identify what it does, because it has 1,000 random effects.
Yep.
And it just because I love the random potion. I love the whole thing. I'm just trying to keep it streamlined. So this is my way. Like, I introduced it, and now I'm taking it back out. So I'm gonna introduce the Silver Slugger, and that's entirely up to you if you drink it or not. It's this random bottle. Sure, let's do it.
Yep.
So like roll like a D100, and then that one number would tell you what the effect is, and then
On the Silver Slugger?
yeah.
Oh yeah. It's more, but yeah, it's a higher number than just 100.
Yeah. It's just like if you pass your con save, you're okay. If you fail your con save, some weird stuff happens.
Look at me, Balefire's on a hugging spree again.
Yeah, I think the strangest one I've seen a Silver Slug do is it turned Simeon into a gnome-sized giraffe. So it's really something you don't want to use in combat necessarily.
It's like the perfect thing to use in combat. It confuses the opponent. Like, what the heck?
Well,
I feel like it would be
Why is it this giraffe trying to climb on my shoulders and ride me?
it would be more effective to feed the potion to the opponent.
That's true too.
Yeah.
But what if it has like a good effect too?
Well, yeah, but
Taking a chance either way.
So what if we do like this? What if you drink it? If you pass your con save, there's a good effect. If you fail your con save, it's a bad effect.
I'm good with that.
That's not a bad idea. I'd be okay with that.
that's quite cool.
Okay, so you drink the potion, make a Constitution save. If you fail it, you have a list of bad effects that you roll a dice for. If you pass it, you have a list of good stuff that happens that you roll a dice for.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Cool, I like that.
So that way it's all up to the player.
Yeah.
Oh man. So that's what's going to happen there. So that's the plan. All the other items are pretty much going to be in effect. I don't have a problem with the random scroll because it's just a D4 to tell me what level it's going to be, and then a random roll for the scroll. So
yeah,
and that's just let's be honest, you can find scrolls almost anywhere.
Yeah.
Some are useful, some are like, it is what it is.
Waiting for that rock to be thrown back. Hey, I'm over here.
I've not used the scroll yet. That was the cunning plan.
That magic mouth.
Yeah. But
No. You know what you need to do? You need to put it on Rogar's. Like, this is a sneaky snack attack. Every time he swings a sword.
It's a what?
A sneaky snack attack.
A sneaky snack attack?
Snack, S-N-E-K. Remember when it was misspelled in Discord or whatever?
Oh man. It's past 9:00. Is it? No, it's 8:59. Darn it! I was almost there.
Now it's 9. 1 more minute.
Okay, so I'm gonna be working on a lot of stuff in the next couple of weeks. We're not gonna have any of the campaigns, but I'm gonna do Grimshaw's. I take that back. There is a possibility that I will do that one shot to go get the vessel using Glinda, Simeon, and a couple of the lackeys, whoever I can pick, like whoever wants to come and play that day. We might go do a one shot. Essentially, is what that is, to go do this. But I'll announce it. I'll give you guys a couple of days and when it's gonna pop up, and it'll either be on Tuesday or a Wednesday. So we'll see. It just, like I said, it all depends on time. But if we don't do that, then Grimshaw's the next 3 Mondays, and then on the 31st, which is Halloween, clearly, Marie is going to be DMing a one shot herself. She's not going to one shot herself. She's going to be DMing a one shot campaign or adventure, and it takes the place in a haunted mansion, I believe. She told me who all the players were, and I still don't remember. But supposedly I'm one of them. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I think you're one. I'm playing. I think
I'm playing.
Rogar, yeah, Randy's playing. I think Ken's playing. And I think the other one might be Heidi. I know Aaron's not playing. Aaron's helping her sort of set Roll20 up and do a few things, and is being a bit of a sort of like sounding board for stuff. So I think I got that right. Maybe not, but yeah, there's 5 players and a DM. So
yeah. So that'll be fun. Looking forward to that. I think we're going to start it at 8 Eastern Standard Time. So I don't know if that's going to be too late for you, Graham.
Nah, that'd be right.
Gotcha. Okay. Other than that, like I said, doing Grimshaw's. I have no idea what we're doing yet, but you guys are more than welcome to join me. I'm going to be doing a lot of world building, trying to update the website and get some stuff. So I'll probably be talking about that. I am going to redo the overlays to make it easier for me whenever I set up this whole channel thing, or whenever we start streaming, because right now I spend a lot of time trying to get the cameras in place because I have to adjust them, as I didn't get my right proportions on the frames. Because I was new to this thing. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. Still don't know what I'm doing. So I have a lot of work. Yeah, thank you. That was not a ploy for me to get good jobs and pats on the backs either, by the way. But it's what's that?
I said give Pat a pat in the back.
Pat, this guy. So I'm gonna be like I said, I'm gonna be working a lot, doing a lot of stuff. So I'll be around. If you guys have anything, let's see. Let's do this. We might as well. Let's do our Discord. We have a Discord. We have a website, thepernicerschronicles.com, that has links to our YouTube page, our Discord page, Facebook, Twitter, and all that kind of fun stuff. And even an email if you guys want to reach out to me that way. I think that's how Graham found me the first time.
Yep.
If I believe correctly.
Yeah, I asked you a bunch of questions about what you'd use to make your maps.
Yeah. And then we talked about map packs and stuff. Gotcha.
Yep.
And then I used Jess for the artistry, for the portraits. She's done Koa. Yeah, right in front of me. Koa, Michael, Talissa, Namaruz, the Overoth, and I believe there's one more. Who am I missing? Oh yeah, Draco. She did Draco from the Antecedents campaign. The only one I needed to do now for the main characters is Grimshaw. And possibly Daljawani. I haven't decided if I wanted to use her or not yet. But anyway, do you guys have any other questions?
Nope. And I actually have to go.
See you.
Bye, y'all.
See you,
Have a
mate.
good one, man.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for being here tonight.
Always.
All right. So he is heading out. Let's see. Let's get him. Do you guys have anything else for me?
No, I think I'm good.
And if anything else pops up, there's going to be somewhat of an opener to kind of give you guys what's going on at the beginning of the next seasons. And
Yep.
outside of that, that's it for me.
Yep. And I think the only other thing we had to do was level up to level 5. And
I already did that, I think.
I've not done that yet.
Yeah, I updated the XP today to put everybody up to level 5. I updated some other stuff too on the website.
Cool.
But like I said, it's not complete yet, so don't go by what it is right now. I have to publish it. It won't save otherwise. It's weird. But anyway, I want to say thank you guys for being here with me on the recap, and thank you for also asking the questions, being here, running the campaign. Clearly, it wouldn't be a game without you guys either. And I want to say thank you to everybody who watches and gives input and chants Rogar's name. Keeps him fighting. I want to start that now. We're going to start that in chat. Rogar.
No, why?
See, Rogar doesn't sound like that. Let's hear Rogar's real voice just once.
Well, Vogar hit the body of Ephraim, so it's Ephraim's voice.
Yeah, but you can alter your voice. Okay, what's Ethern's voice?
You know, I didn't put any thought into this at all.
It's okay. I'm just messing with you. You know that.
I could come up with one. I could come up with one for Rogar too. I might do that.
It's not needed, but if you wanted to, that's all you guys.
Cool.
But anyway, I'm gonna get us out of here. Once again, thank you guys. I hope you guys have a good night and tune in for Grimshaw's. Otherwise, then I will see everyone season 2.
Yeah.
Sounds
Catch you
good.
then. Cheers.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Good night.